Hello, farmers. It's Farmer River, and I am back again in Iowa. The election results are still unclear a week later, but here we are, right? The conspiracies theories abound. In any event, I'm moving around with the mouse. I should probably do it with the controller. I have brought up the rest of our equipment, which was our hay equipment, and then I was looking and thinking about the next things that we could do. Now, I said I probably would put away some stuff before the last episode, but you can see all our stuff is still pretty much out. We have to do some reorganization. And like I had said, I never had dealt with that. If you guys had watched the last episode, you know I said I never dealt with the alfalfa before. So if we come down to our field here, I'm not real happy with the crops that we ended up getting. And I'll show you the reason why. A couple different things. So here we are. Oh, this is clover. Now, what is you know what? I didn't even look up clover. Yeah, I was looking at the alfalfa. And when I say look up, what I started to do is come over here and say, okay, let's see if we could sell this stuff and for how much. Is it more just horse feed or is it whatever? Now, this looks like it could be clover, right? Because it's a 3-leaf clover. So if you're not sure, you can come over to this one and look and just see the symbols. Now, this alfalfa is whited out, if you notice. So is the clover, and so is the Sudan grass. So apparently these aren't really being used. And if we come back to here, this looks like the Sudan grass. There's no place we can sell it. This is the clover. There's no place we can sell it. And then there's this... this is the alfalfa here, and there's no place we can sell it. Now, apparently the alfalfa spits out regular grass at a higher yield. So this is, I believe, regular grass right here. Let's go back to here. We can kind of confirm it. Oh, that might be rice. Okay, what is regular grass? There's regular grass. So we can come over here and say, all right, what does regular grass look like? I thought I could use my scroll wheel. Yeah, so we could sell that for $73, which is, okay, this is probably hay. I'm not sure why the hay would sell less than the grass, but it's the kind of thing you might want to keep in mind. You don't get more hay than you had grass, as far as I know. So at that point, you might be better off making the grass until the prices change. So saying all that and looking back here, like we have a bunch of this clover on all our fields, which does us very little good. And the map, I read the map description is one of the way, I just searched like alfalfa and it took me to the map description. And it says, well, don't use the clover, don't use the Sudan grass. And instead of using regular grass, use the alfalfa. Well, let me turn on the regular grass and zoom all the way in. If you look, I just planted a whole bunch of grass instead of planting the alfalfa. Now, if we turn that off, see, we don't have alfalfa. Now, the other thing that's a bit of a pain is that the other field we have here, you can see that turning on and off is sugar cane. And we don't have the equipment to harvest sugar cane, though we could rent it and will just to get it off the field and get some money without costing ourselves too much. And then I think I also mentioned in the last episode that we had wet corn, right? And that's the field we have here. And if we come over, it is fully grown. However, you need to get a dryer in order to dry the wet corn. So I don't know. I haven't even looked to see let's go over to P and come in here. I'm assuming it would be a placeable global company. Yeah, dryer 500,000. So if we come back, let's go back here and take a look at this, right? Now let's see, can we find wet corn? Yeah, I think this is the symbol for the wet corn. We can't sell that. Now, if we put it in the dryer, there is regular corn here with I guess the difference is the grids, the corn kernels. Right, that one doesn't have corn. Yeah, that one's just like all yellow. So if we come back to this, just to confirm, wet corn and regular corn. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but this one has the little grid of kernels in there. So in other words, I planted the wrong thing here, and other than the sugar cane, which let's look at its growth. Yeah, so it's growing, but it's still relatively young, so it's got plenty of time before we could do that, which is saying, well, we need to decide what to do with these fields. Now, these fields are really quite a bit irregular and really would make better, quote, grass or alfalfa fields than anything else. Now, 13 is kind of square, and so is 14. So let's go check those out real quick. So I'm going to turn the map back on, just so I can make sure we run in the right direction. We should be heading right for 14. I didn't even really pay much attention, but yeah, so this is another field of clover. But I think it would make a nice little field for growing something. And then another thing I noticed, and the main reason I didn't put anything is we do have this over here. Now I was kind of curious. I didn't even come up here and look, but this might be a nice place to put certain things. Certainly be a nice place to put a building. Yeah, this, I don't know that this is a real silo. Because it just doesn't look like it has. Usually you see like a yellow box around here. Now you can turn the yellow boxes on and off in the settings, but I have them on. Just, makes life a little bit easier. Yeah, see, I'm not seeing, if we drive over it with a thing, we could see that it says like unload or not. Like you can't unload or fill. But I don't know that this is a real grain silo. And a lot of times they're marked on the map, but it could have been something that the map maker did that's a little bit different. But I definitely want to check that out if we get a crop. Now the problem is we basically figured out that we have no crop. Right, so this will be our field 13. Let's just check it out. We'll go up to the top of the hill. Might be a little easier to see. Yeah, I mean, this is I think this should definitely go for regular crops. I mean, it's a little bit hilly, but it's flatter than a lot of them. Like this, I think we may even go over here to 19. I was looking, well, that's 12. 12 will be good. 19 was the one we're kind of at, and I was sort of looking to see with these lines in the middle of the field, you can maybe you can see from that far away, but that is a significant hill over there. Geez, a pretty big ditch too. And what I was thinking of is that it might be better to treat these as separate fields, even though in the game, like there's no reason you couldn't, I mean, you could even plant a grass strip the rest of the way here if you wanted and treat these separate. Some of this, like here, we could probably smooth this out. But then when you get down to here, you're kind of getting a bit steep, right? But we really might be better off like just planting some grass across here and getting this to be a different field, right? Like consider this, what does it look like down this end? See, this is a reasonably big field, other than this kind of hill right in the middle. And our planner struggles with planning things. It's not very flexible. It's a very rigid John Deere planner there, yeah. See, if I came in here, this is the kind of area I would definitely, like, why not plant that around there? But after doing this other field up here, this 15 and 16, I definitely want to see, yeah, so that's definitely a significant hill. And do we just consider these different fields at that point? Let's take a look at, see, we own all this land down here too, so it's not like we can't come in here and cut these trees down eventually. Just sort of consider, I mean, we could like even make like another grass field or something like in this area, or just continue that field around in a bigger swath this way. Right, just have this one sort of end where the hill starts, like right here, and like cut it off going that way, and then have this be all part of that field down there. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do in the long run. Now the biggest problem we have, if you look, I think I was at like 60-some thousand when I left you guys, so it cost me like 20,000 to grow this grass over here. And I think that, thinking back on it, I think there's something I want to try to do. Now that we're just kind of got a fiasco of I planted the wrong thing and all that stuff, I think I want to come over here and see if we can't do some sculpting. We're gonna have to borrow money and go into some debt. But fortunately, we don't have any debt. But in order to get these crops planted, and I'd like to try to like take down some of this ridge that I'm standing on right here and see if I can't get that to flow into another hill. Now, just because this is a royal pain in the patooter, I mean, this would be a much nicer field if this wasn't here. So let's just see if we come over to P and use the sculpting tool. I'm not very good at this. All right, so this is sculpting. Let me put on F1 because I always forget the keys. And we'll zoom in. And I think what I want to try to do is like lower some of this. Let's make the thing a little bit bigger. Oh, that's raised. All right, how much is... I don't think this cost overly much. Yeah, see how that's... We'll have to come back and smooth it, of course. Yeah, I really want to be lower and more up this way, don't I? All right, now let's see how big we can make this thing, and then we'll do smooth, which is middle mouse. All right, let's get over there where I can see. So I kind of want to smooth it down this way, right? Because if I'm gonna, I was thinking, this is the kind of thing I probably should have spent some more time thinking about before I planted all this stuff, but you live and learn. Isn't that the way life is? Look, we're down to $20,000. Jeez. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah, that's... Let me turn. Yeah, that's way too drastic there. Certainly for our planter it is. Now, I might have got away with just smoothing the whole thing, right? All right, so let's go forward, rotate. See how this hill is? Like, could I have just come in here and done like this number? All right, and we're going to take that all the way up to there. All right, well, that cost us 20 grand. Yeah, we could smooth this out, I think, a little bit more. Yeah, I think I want to lower this. And let's smooth again. Yeah, we're down to... So it's certainly... Was it the raise and lower? I didn't really pay attention that cost us so much. Yeah, see, that's... I think that might be okay. Let's take a run around when we're not in that mode. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't think it's ideal, but there's a little bit of a hump right here, isn't there? But that was kind of there before. A little bit of a dip right there. Which I think in real life would be like the worst thing, because you'd get like a puddle in that area, and that could really cause problems. You want good drainage. You want the right amount of drainage on your fields. In real life, we're not going to worry about it too much, as long as we think that that machine can do that. But there we go. So we smoothed out this. Now if we come in here and look at our map, let's see what it shows us. Yeah, say it took away all that field that I did right there, which Yeah, this was a lot of work, but I think I just made it a lot easier on ourselves at that point too. So what I'm going to do, and I think I need to re-plow this to make it field again. Ay, 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 ay. And I'm not going to do too much, but I think I'll do a lot of this, you know, like plowing off camera. Let's get it started on camera. Now, unlike when I used to do things in the past, where I would like fast forward, I think, you know, for whatever length this series lasts, I am going to just like cut the video and not take my chances in a sense on the, I think it's this way. Some of these devices are really kind of hard to see which way they're facing. Did I get it? Yeah. Back up a little bit so I can see, and then now there's one other thing I wanted to mention to you guys. Let me get down here and get set up first. Where we stopped. I figured out, and this is when you do manual mods, meaning mods that you get from some other website, one of the issues you got to worry about is that it's not going to get automatically updated. So if we come back into Control S, which is our guide and steering, if you notice, if you watched the last episode, we have a whole new and nicer and improved guide and steering. So let's see what happens when I come over here and say, yeah, I want group 15. What is this? Is that save, edit, delete, turn it 90 degrees? I don't want to go back. Let's go over to here. Show lines on. Yeah, I still wish it was a little bit clearer. Let's go back and see. Yeah, no, it's got 15 on there. Now, one of the things that would happen is that I change the width. If you know, like in order to do the other implement. So let me Control S, and then let's see, where is, okay, auto width. Where does it say? I would think the auto width would be like 4 feet at this point. Like it doesn't update it there. Let's go back. Yeah, look, it is 4 feet. And that, I think this will be a pretty good angle. One of the things I want to do is come up here, just sort of clean this mess up. And I've learned, and I kind of knew this before. Let's do Y, right? Yeah, limit Y lets you make new fields. It's going to be a little bit awkward, but and then, just so you know too, like this game lets you get away with turning. With this kind of implement, I mean, you really can't turn much. But hey, it's a video game at the end of the day, right? If you really pick on the reality of video games too harshly, you know. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just, you know, I can't see where this would make for any kind of near exciting YouTube. Yeah, I'll probably just end up, see some of these little, I'll follow this pattern because, hey, why not, but. There we go. I think you guys get the idea, and I'll just do the best I can to get all of this plowed. Let's go a little further. And I'll be right back when I get this kind of cleaned up. Here we got our jumping tractor. Not sure. It's some mod is, or oh, who knows, the game itself, but somebody's not happy with the thing. And I noticed that our planner also did. If we're moving along, it's fine. It's only when you come to a stop, but it does, I think, mess up some other things. But there we go. So we have this field, you know, all that smoothing we did, which really, I don't know. Was it worth 40 grand at the point we don't have any money? And I'm sorry, it didn't cost us 40 grand, but it cost us like 30 grand probably. And, you know, probably not. But, oh, another thing to watch out for is turn the allow fields off, because if you just hit the ground here, you might like make a little tiny field. Now they do make a roller in the game. Yeah, you know, let's for now this stuff's not going away for a while. Okay, so I'll just put this right here. Now I'm going to come over here to our cedar, which I just dropped here. And another thing to mention is between the episodes, I went 3 trips to go get more seeds and whatnot. So you can see down, I don't know how well you can see it, but down in the bottom there, I'm going to put this F1 back on, and then we're going to have to select our type of seed, right? So we're going to redo this as alfalfa. I don't know if you can see that in the bottom right. And then I want to show you something else that may or may not be an issue, just in case you're new to the game or just struggling. I imagine not too many people. I was thinking about that. I'm kind of treating you guys like you don't know the game. But if you notice, watch this opens, and I'm going to refill this alfalfa seed, even though it probably doesn't even need it. And I'm just going to plug along here, and watch how this one opens. And if I hit refill, notice it doesn't let me refill. So what I'm going to do is come up to here, close that. Now I should be off of all of the triggers, right? I'll back up a little bit so we can see. And I'm going to wait for that one to open, and I know that's the fertilizer one, right? And if I hit refill, now it'll refill it, right? Until you run out of stuff anyway. Now the thing is, let's take a look. That might have been a waste of money there, and I don't think there's a way to turn off. Yeah, I think we just have to let it go out. So let's see here. I want to take a look at what we created. Needs lime. Yeah, see, we need lime too. I like to do the lime before I actually plow. But yeah, we need the full fertilizer and we need lime. So I don't think it really makes any difference other than when you do the lime first, you can sort of see, oops, wait, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just drop that and let's go get our lime machine. I think it's over, I put it back. Yeah, I think a lot of equipment's going to be staying out. We've got, I thought we were going to let that clover grow and it would be worth $1 anyway. And, you know, when we have such low money. Now, again, if kind of making a bad assumption that you guys have never seen the game, especially if you watch the second episode, you're probably a little more, you know what, there's no, I need to start using some of this up over here. Oh, by the way, the reason I stopped putting it over there is because, and you can tell when you get there because the door should open. I think I bought some more. Yeah, there we go. The reason I stopped putting it over there is because it was really hard to reach across. Like, you had to get like uber close to get to, you had to get really, really close to get to the stuff. Now, as soon as we can afford it, we're going to get one of those silos, so I don't have to keep running down there every time. We can refill it. Which really, I worked on a farm. I mean, anytime you use that much of some kind of chemical or whatever the heck it was, I mean, you really did. I mean, you would have some storage of it, right? Some guy would come with a tractor trailer or whatever the case was, and all right. So let's get this guy. I'm gonna hit B to get my cruise control going, and then I have the keyboard B, gets me spraying, and then try to hold this out. I'm just gonna do this manually. It shouldn't take too long. Liming is relatively quick, though you do use just an awful lot of it. Like, to give you an idea, this thing holds 14,000, and I think I refilled it twice. Plus, there was what, like 11 or 12,000 left in there. So, yeah, you just use a lot of lime at that point. So I think that would be the first one we would buy if we got some extra money. I don't want to miss. And one of the things about the game is you can't overdo it. In a sense, like if I spray an area twice, it doesn't get twice as much, which is a bit unrealistic compared to real life, but get that. Yep. But what can you do? It's a game. Now, when it comes to something like the seeding, I don't think it keeps seeding twice. Like another thing that's pretty unrealistic about what's going to happen in a minute is if you had gone in here and planted all that grass seed, I guess you could spray some kind of something to kill that. Sorry, let me get focused. There we go. Set up for our next pass. I guess you could do something to kill the seeds, right? You know, and then replant. But like we're going to replant here in a minute. And those areas that were already planted are just going to be like erased. Where in real life you would end up with grass. I mean, it might, you know, there might be a lot more issues or a little more complicated than I'm saying it, but in real life you would end up with grass and alfalfa. Probably, you know, they would struggle to fight with each other and, you know, whatever. I mean, I imagine you'd end up with some mix, maybe not 50-50, but can we get that? Yeah. There we go. Now, when it comes to little things like this, oh, no, we did miss. That's all right. We could give it a little. I don't know if did I get it? Yeah, I think I did. When it comes to, yeah, it's probably not technically even worth the money to fix this spot. It's a little bit, let me go over here. Actually better off from a financial point of view, hitting it lengthwise. That way you're not. There we go. So if you're in doubt that you might have missed the spot, let's get the needs lime. See, nobody needs lime anymore. There's a few little tiny dots you can see. I'm zoomed in as far as I can, but nothing worth sweating. So now, let's fold this guy up. So we use, just to give you an idea, on that relatively little spot, we were at 14,000. Now we're below 10,000. So we used 4,200 or 4,100. Yes, I think I'll put this guy here. Now, another thing I like to do with this, like I'm not worried about building buildings. I don't have an idea of exactly what we're going to do. But at the same time, like as time goes on, you drive around and you start wanting to put things in certain places, and then you come back later with your paint tool. Let's zoom in. Right. I guess, I don't know if it makes much difference where we start. Now, let me show you one more thing. I'm going to get out here and just do most of this off camera, of course. And for that reason, just so you guys know, it might be that, you know what, here's what I want to do. I'm going to drive, I'd like to do my longest, straightest. And I also want to check something else. The game's a little bit unrealistic, I think, with certain crops. We don't have in this game is soil compaction. Right? So because of that, like, it's not that you would kill the seeds by driving on these grass seeds or these alfalfa seeds, but you would compact the soil and then but you're going to do that anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it doesn't kill the seeds when you drive on them, which is realistic, but it also doesn't affect them in any way, which it could. So you certainly wouldn't want to drive around on your seeds in real life. But again, those are the little kind of things that I think, rather than having horses in the game, I would have worked on that myself. I'm going to do this Control S, and I'm going to do it 90 degrees. That did work, by the way. I'm going to hit Escape. And see, we're on a different course than I was before, so let me come back here. Oops, no, Control S. And I'm going to click this. It's all a little bit new to me. I'm going to hit escape. Yep, there we go. See how it's... Yeah, this was the course that I was on before. Now, I also had a bit of an issue. Now, you have to watch out in this game. Sometimes with the auto-calculate, see how we're not straight to the machine? Now, when it's bouncing like this, that's not going to help. But the best thing to do is just pull forward and hopefully the machine follows straight behind you. Because when you do this auto-calculate kind of thing, let's see what it gives me. 17 feet. And it should be 6 meters, which should be over that, right? I'd rather, can we get this to be, I like feet and all, but when my, let's come here, I'll show you what I mean. When this, oops, yeah, that was right. So, I got confused, which happens in life. If we come here to our planner, oh, we had a planner. There it is. It's given it to me in meters. So let's just do, because I'd like to get the exact right width, right? So if we're going to do, I have a fancy, well, your Windows calculator will do length, right? Yeah, so 6 meters is 19.68 feet. So let's go back. Right, and let's see, can we Control S? Yeah, see, we didn't have these buttons before. And we'll take a look. I guess we could turn this increment up, right? We'll just stay a little bit under it and see what that looks like. Now, why do we get an offset? Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I don't really understand it. Oops. Yeah, I tried to back up a little bit to zoom the view. Yeah, let's Control S. Where do we get? Make it smaller. Ooh. What does this do? Yeah, 0. Okay, good. It's kind of an odd symbol for 0, isn't it? If I would just put a 0 on there, I think we'll write the word 0. All right, there we go. So we shouldn't have an offset. Now, if we come close, does that look right? Yeah. And if you look, I'm not even going to change that. Say, this is sort of, there's just not much of a long straight line in this. But at least now I can come across the entire thing, right? So again, it's, if you have a field, my recommendation, let's go look at the map real quick. So like on field 13 here, I might even, I'll see what's out there, but I might even try to plow it in a little bit straighter line, or we would declare this line the straightest. Now the game tends to have a certain straight line, right? Like north-south. So this 13, you know, you can kind of tell is not dead north-south. So could we make this more north-south? We have to take a look when we get over there, and we could plow that in to make it nice and square. So there we go. So let me just show you real quick what we'll do a lot of. What I'll do a lot of. And I'm not real sure what we do with the other fields just yet. And we're going to run out of money here at some point. Yeah, so see, we have this. And really, in real life, the other thing you would probably never do is do headers first, though I do tend to do that, especially like off camera, wink. You know, because like right here is, you know, do we really want to get into doing this, or do we just go right around and do the headers first? Which is, well, I don't want that on. So what I'm going to do, and by the way, this is where it's kind of nice to have this. Yeah, if we're going to do a header, or not header, it's not really a header, just we're going to do the outside lanes first. All right, so let's turn this thing on, and then I can hit this button. And this thing is really optically kind of, there we go. It doesn't really, you know, it's hard to see. Yeah, I think I kind of want to be over this way a little bit. It's hard to see what's happening. I think what I'm going to do is as I get past that hill, we're going to hit that. Just come right down this row. We'll cut that little section off there. And then it's never a bad idea. What I'm thinking of, there's two things I want to kind of experiment with here. See, now, this is kind of a problem, right? You know, I mean, we could go straighter, but this is what I was talking about as far as... Now, let's come here and hit escape. I turned that off, we didn't need to. But yeah, what my question is, and it's kind of hard to see with that little swath, but it's not... well, you know, it was the wrong swath to do. Let's go do another swath. And then, yeah, let's do one like up further. You know what, we'll do the one next to the long one. All right, we'll do this one here, because I just want to see if it's... Do I really just want to do this and try to stay on the... Turn it on, lower it, and then go. And you don't have to worry in this game about going over the thing. See, but I want to see, am I putting down more... It's going to be a mess no matter what I do. But are we putting down more fertilizer right here, or is this just... See how the fertilizer's still going down, or are we just wasting fertilizer? So let's stop. That's enough wasting fertilizer. No. See that? I don't know if you guys can see, but I can. Like right there, there's no extra fertilizer. So what that's telling me is I really kind of want to do... I really kind of want to do this area first with the fertilizer, and then just let the fertilizer run out at some point. And I think we'll do some things in the future to even it all back out. We'll just have like an uneven field, which at this point is kind of fine with me. All right, so we'll just try to focus on this until we run out of that, and then I'll see if I put any more in there or not, but I might just... It'll be ugly. See, that's another problem. This thing is just so straight and rigid that we get to these like hills where it doesn't plant them. I'll show you when we turn around. You know. See what I mean? Graphically, I lifted that, but there's really, it doesn't really... Most mods sort of show you... You know, I don't know, it's just a little more visible. I mean, you can see the thing going up and down, but it's just, and if, I guess part of it is you can't really tell unless you see it go up and down. So if you weren't paying attention at that instant, then you have a problem. Now, in a lot of cases, I might not worry about that little diddy-do, but in the case that we're going to plant it, we're never going to replant this alfalfa unless we just totally switch crops. This is the... I believe it's the kind of... Yeah, so we missed another spot. So I want to get it as good as I can, you know? As far as making sure the alfalfa is planted. I don't care too much about the... fertilizer or not, but... I don't want like spots like we just missed there. So anyway, well let me plant this. I'm going to try to put down this fertilizer as much as is in the bin, and then we'll just go to straight up, you know, getting alfalfa planted and not worry about the fertilizer any longer. See how good a job I did smoothing, right? By the way, I'm skipping rows because it's just easier to turn. I kind of messed that one up a little bit. Right, I can turn right on here. Yeah, see how that's my smoothing. But and by the way, the fact that this isn't smooth, yeah, you can see it. Look how humpy it looks. That's where I quote smoothed it. But we spent enough money smoothing, so And it's, hopefully the other equipment does a little better job than this does, as far as that's concerned. All right, so there we go. Let me cut it off here, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Okay, just got done, pulled off the field, and looking much better. There was a few spots that were a little hard to hit. I can run down here real quick and show you. It turned out pretty nice because it did change the colors. So I don't know how well it shows up on YouTube, but if we come up to this splotch right here, it looks like I missed it, but I actually missed it going this way because of the unevenness. But I can also tell that I hit it going this way. So at one point it ran out of fertilizer and the whole thing just shut off. But once I turned it back on, I was able to seed. So let's get escape and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's the field that I'm standing in the middle of, and you can see this sort of extra fertilizer. There's a few ways to fix this. One, you can let it go all the way down to 0, right? But it means you'll have to harvest one time with like no fertilizer in most of this field, or you could we could come back after the next stage and start spraying. Now, I think we could possibly spray the spots that aren't already dark, so we might be able to come right out here and spray. Because this is effectively a grass field, or alfalfa in our case, I'm not overly concerned, right? Like I don't always spray the grass fields. It sort of depends on how much hay and grass we have and need. It doesn't sell for a huge amount. It's great to make it for yourself. I'm not sure how it ranks amongst the crops. If you're going to do it without automatic bale picking up and all, it's an awful lot of work, which makes it worth more spraying, right? You know, if you're going to do it right, kind of thing. If we're just going to handle it with the forage wagon, which just picks up the rows that we create, and then you drive it to the store or put it in a silo or whatever, then it's, you know, I don't know. It's not that much work to respray because you spray such a wide width. But it does cost a fair chunk of change at that point. So we'll see. Not too overly concerned at this point. In other words, because it's effectively a grass field. Now, I don't think for sure we're going to want this. So let's hit Q, get rid of this. And I want to hop out real quick, just so it's not noisy. And take a look here. Yeah, we need plowing in all these fields. And just to remind you guys, if for some bizarre reason you skipped way far ahead in the video to this point by chance, we have the clover in this field. So, you know, it's completely useless crop. So is the Sudan grass, at least as per the thing. And I don't see where we could sell it. I don't know that we could even harvest it. I'm not too worried about it. If we look at where it is in the process, it's in one of the earlier growth stages anyway. So I think we're better off getting some more crops into here. Now, I was talking earlier about, you know, do we kind of make this into its own big field somehow? Like this may be a bit more of a hill than it looks like, but this could certainly be a big field here. And, you know, just sort of take a look, square things up a little bit. But we already have, let's say, 14 here. Now, 14 is probably going to make a nice field in the future for something like potatoes or sugar beets. Like, it's nice to have a small field. Now, if you think this field's big, keep, like, this in mind. You know, like, in the grand scheme of a 4X map, you know, you can have some mighty big fields compared to what we're dealing with. Like, I think, you know, 37 and 38 is like the size of our entire farm region there. So these are all relatively small fields in the grand scheme of the game. But in any event, I would like to at least get started working on maybe 13 and 14. And then we could talk about what we're going to do over here. I'm leaving that big grass area, assuming that one of these days we're going to be doing, sorry, distracted myself. We're going to be doing like horses and cows, and that might be a good place. Now we might entirely go to another. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. Why did I put it down that way? I don't remember putting it down this way. That doesn't. As you get older, you learn that that's not necessarily. When I was younger, not remembering something meant it probably didn't happen. Nowadays, I have to give it a 50-50. Well, maybe not 50-50, but I mean, obviously, I probably put it this way. Right? Or is this, was I the right way and just not close enough? What's going on? I can tell from the tines, but I can't really even see the tines. Yeah, I was the right way. I must not have been close enough. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty good about. It's not that I have the greatest memory, but I'm a fairly organized individual. As far as how I do things, I tend to try to be consistent. I learned that from being a manufacturing engineer. Like, the real key to like running a factory, not the real key, there's a lot of keys to running the factory, but one of the bigger keys to running the factory is getting people to do things consistently. Right, you know what I want to do? I want to come here and hit the map. Yeah, these roads are like dead straight, and I want to make things straight. And I not perfectly, but I think I want to come up here, and we're going to like put our tire. Right, I want to do a couple of things. We're going to try to get it so that we're going straight up and down this road pretty much. Right, yeah, I'm going pretty darn straight up and down this road. So that way I have a good east-west line. Alright, so let's come in here. The reason I just did that was I'm going to hit Control-S. I'm going to come over here, and yeah, that was field 16. So I think I want to, I guess this is save, or is this save? That's like add a new field, right? I would think. I would assume that was save, right? You know, a little pencil. And then if we come here, okay, so how do I edit? You know what, let's just add, okay, what I want to do is call this east, west, right? Now we can always, now this is nice when you have this feature. We don't need a north-south, we can just turn east-west that way, right? So let's see. All right, good. So now I just wanted to, in the past they had a problem with 2, so we're going to come here, and then, yeah, we just want that normal. All right, so I'm going to do Alt-E, and I see the little A below the tractor, even if you guys can't. And then we should be pretty darn close to straight enough. All right. And again, it doesn't matter if you turn, let's go up to this. Yeah, see, we're hitting that little hill there. But, you know, the kind of the further you go, the potential to be more accurate. All right, so let's do Alt-E. Right, and that should be a really nice east. Look at that, 80. There's a little. Yeah, I can't really get. If you look in the bottom right, 89.5, close enough, right? Yeah, let's even see if we put this on. Yeah, look at that, 89.5, 89 point. You know, like that's really close to 90 degrees. So the good news about that is we can now square up these fields. Is that the way? We can get into this field either which way, but I do want to open this gate. I like the gates. They're really nice, but oh, do I have that turned off? Yeah, I did. All right, I like gates and all, but I do tend to just leave them open in the game. So now that we have our due west, right, we can come in here and see if this is actually due west, right? So we'll hit Alt. Move this the other way, Alt, page up. Maybe Yeah, that's probably close enough. All right, and we can get out into this field. Oh. Let's do Control S. Auto width. Is that how much 4 meters is? I have my handy dandy calculator still open from earlier. Yeah, pretty darn close. Yeah, I would like to know. Yeah, okay, so now that we changed that, now we need to do our alt. Yeah, that's looking like it's going to be. Nope. Looking like it's going to be awful close. Now, what I might want to do. Well, with this side, I think we're going to be good to go. I think I'm just going to not allow create fields. So if I put this F1 on, say it says allow create fields, well, we're like switch to allow create fields. So I'm just going to lower this guy. We're going to plow this stuff up. And again, like I've said, this just ability to drive in the straight line makes such a big difference. You know, that's the kind of graphics thing. See where that popped out there? Like, I'm not doing anything particularly different. Now, the other thing we might want to, and the other thing is the tractor does move around at that point as well. So just that little moving around may be part of what's causing that. Now, I don't think there's, why wouldn't we, let me lift that up. I want to actually move over a little bit more. Oops, wrong one. All right, let's go back over to here, and I'm going to back up the whole entire way. I don't like, you can see why I didn't like that, I think, anyway. But yeah, as the tractor goes up and down the hills, like you see it's bouncing around and changing angle. That can cause you to not have the perfectly straight. But they didn't mess around with that. I just want to see what happens if we lower this guy. And was it just not? Nah, it's just the way they created the field, I think. It was not as anally retentive as... Let's just, for the sake of anal retentivism, I don't know if that's even a word. We're gonna come back to like here. Oops. Watch out because it will like splotch behind it. So I'm gonna lower this guy, and I'm gonna hit Y for allow create fields. There we go. That worked. See, I was like a foot ahead of it, or I don't know, a third of a meter. Right. And again, you have to be this. But really, is there another reason for us? It's another thing to look at. Like, why wouldn't we go one row closer to that ditch? Right? Like, this is the kind of thing I like to do early, because I think, it's going to cause fertilizing issues in the sense of, let's take a look at what we would do. Let's hop out for a second. I just want to see, why wouldn't we come this much further over, right? I don't want to get right up on this, but I definitely could see us coming further. So let's, we're still creating, yeah, I would say, why not at least go to say here, right, where that field ended. Right, and then why wouldn't we, I definitely think we could do, now the other end I may sort of like swing around, and they do have a roller tool that lets you undo it if you kind of made a mistake. So what I like to do is we'll, right, and then we'll back up, make sure we're pretty straight. Now again, there's no particular rules to how far back you would go here, other than it's going to be like a graphics thing. So this might be, see that this case, there we go. See, I just backed up, a little cheaty. Probably break the whole piece of it, break the tines off the equipment. Now, a good piece of equipment like this will have like a shear bolt, so you should just pop out a shear pin if it's designed reasonably well. Now, is this because I'm getting, sometimes if you hold, yeah, see, we're getting kind of like into that hole right there. Yeah, let's stay out of that hole. So we'll just kind of do this, and I think, right, that'll be a little bit annoying for the future, but let's come up here and see what's going on. Why is this row not straight? Why didn't they come over here? It's getting a bit hilly, but I think if let's come off, just, let's do, I don't want to turn at 90 quite yet. But I think we could, let's come over this way a little bit more. All right, we'll drop this guy, drop this guy down. That looks pretty reasonable. I don't want to get up into that hill too much, but I don't see anything. We can cut it close to these trees, right? We can always cut them down if they get super annoying. What'd you do? Oh, I shot for the yellow orange line. Let's go raise this up. I was thinking the orange line was the line we wanted, and I was going to make a nice gradual turn. Let's go back here a little bit further. Put this guy down. Put this guy down. So you can see, is that a massive difference? No, but I don't see why we wouldn't have done that as far as that goes. And then the nice thing is you know, this line here wasn't particularly straight, and that other line we kind of made it more crooked because of that hill, but you don't have to get overly close. We can come up there from the other direction, especially with this. That's another thing that's nice about this. Let's see if we can't get it close though. It's because this is such a square implement, like it's square to the tractor. It's really kind of helpful in the fact that it, like a plow does like on a diagonal. Right? This doesn't. So that we can get, I can't really see, go a little bit further back. I don't want to go too close because depending on the graphics, you know, there's a, see what I mean? I went too far back there, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. But there we go. So I'm going to do this field and we'll see how it goes. I'll probably come back after I get this field planted and we can talk about, and when I say come back, next episode, because I think we're long enough into this episode. I wanted to get over here, quite honestly, because I feel like I got nothing done. And yeah, that's just sort of an issue for me. I mean, I spent a lot of hours getting that alfalfa field going, and real life hours, that is. Well, and game hours are the same thing at that point, right? You can see it's like 3 in the afternoon, and we don't even have another crop just yet. We'll cut over this way a little bit. Let's see. A lot of times you can eyeball this up, make it kind of nice. You just want to be careful when you're creating fields. You got to remember that you're creating fields, and that you don't just go off into no man's land. But yeah, when we come back in the next episode, I think I'd like to get, you know, I think I'll plow this field, and I'll probably do 13 as well. I think it's 13. Yeah, this is, I don't know, whatever that other field right over there is. Let me hit the cruise control, and I can hit the 9 key. Yeah, 13. And then we own 12. I was thinking that was 20 or something like that, bro. What's with the GPS guidance? Yeah, so we'll get 13 going, and then we really, that stupid 9. I don't even know really what to do about the wet corn. I don't have $500,000. I don't know, is there a place on the map? I'll have to look into that. Is there some other kind of a drier situation that we could do? What are we going to do here? I think I could, let's eyeball this up with our bouncing bean tractor, and then we'll call it quits. Let's lift this up. Man, that's something to do with that implement being down there like that. What we can do is probably come over here. No reason this can't be a slight angle. And we'll put this down and hope it doesn't. Yep, no, that's pretty good. We'll just kind of take it on an angle over to the original. Pretty close to the original. Right. Probably even take off, create fields at that point. There we go. Yep. So let's lift this up. Do a Y. I turn the F1 off as much because it's, it blocks my view, and I think it looks better for YouTube not to do that. But yeah, if we're on Y, limit the fields. Yeah, allow create fields. So I'll just come down back here and you see how it like takes steps like that. I don't think there's too much you can do about that. I just want to come over here, make sure we get it all plowed so we see what we got. End up in the ditch. Yeah, that'll be a little awkward in the future, but oops, the wrong button. Well, there we go. So let me know what you think. Thank you for all your likes and subscriptions. I've just watched it, and oh, another thing, I did get a comment while I was off there plowing. What was it? Just so you know, apparently with this global company mod, we can have the horses be auto-ridden by someone at midnight each night, so that you don't have to sit there and ride the horses every day, like, which is kind of a fine thing to do, right? It's fun to ride the horse. I mean, you run around, and it's definitely faster than walking. You can even use it as a utility, slower than an ATV, but, you know, kind of realistically. But if you have 20 horses, you're supposed to ride those every day. And if you don't ride them, they don't get nearly as much value. So you can see where that would really become a bit of a nuisance. Now, is it any worse than plowing the fields? Probably not. I guess it's probably just as much a matter of taste as anything else. But so thank you to Rupert Mule. I'm not sure exactly. Rupert. We'll just leave it at Rupert. But Mule is how I would say. But again, if foreign pronunciations are not my specialty, at least foreign to Americans, you get what I mean. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any suggestions for the series, things you think we should do, get into. I sort of intend to just sort of show you the game, but I'd like to do it over a longer format, and so I will jump ahead with the content, doing things like once we see a planning. I'm not going to keep showing you the plannings. But anyway, let me know how you enjoyed it and what you didn't like about it. Thank you for all your likes, comments, suggestions, and subscriptions. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.